You see, the nature of attachment is that, adult attachment, is that he is both a source of comfort to her, and he's also a source of pain to her. And so it's this dilemma for her now. Because before she knew about the addiction, if she was in pain, she had a reflex to go to him. But what happens when he's the source of pain? Everything in her wants to go to him because that's where her secure base is, but he's the one that's creating the pain, so now she's stuck. And it's like she has one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. And then she feels insane, and she has no idea what to do. And so we can't ignore the fact that he's a source of comfort, because that would pretend that that relationship meant nothing and it wasn't important, which we know it is, and that's why it hurts so bad. But we also have to honor the fact that it's a source of pain and that there's been a trauma and a betrayal. And so what needs to happen for her to start getting some emotional oxygen, some relationship oxygen, to start to be able to breathe and start to progress back to the state where she can go into this this stability, this secure attachment and connection. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Well, before I do that, I have a note here. I met with a woman recently who I think gave me a good example of this source of comfort, source of pain thing. Her husband, again, they're in recovery, and they've been doing recovery work for about 6 months. And they were saying to me that recently she had sent him a text message that said, "I finally found the word that describes the last 6 months." And of course, he texts her back and says, "Well, what word is that?" And she wrote back, "Gruesome." And he didn't know what to say about that, and so they didn't really say much. And then they came into my office. And I asked him, I said, "Why do you think she sent that to you? Do you think she's just trying to rub it in your face? She's trying to punish you?" Well, as we talked about it, this is that tricky dynamic. She's letting him know that she's hurting, but she's coming to him instead of to someone else because she sees that he can maybe do something about it. We know that if he ignored it or acted like she was ridiculous or overreacting, it would make things worse for them. But he didn't do that. He heard it and he understood it, and he apologized and validated that pain, and it made things just a little bit better for her. And that's the harnessing of that attachment that we're talking about, where he recognized his ability to be a source of comfort for her, played into that role. She starts to come down a little bit, and they're helping each other. And then he feels like what he does makes a difference, and they're starting to help each other. Now, she certainly could have just not said anything to him and just taken it to just God and not done anything else. But again, this was a little line out to the marriage that helped them a little bit. Was it a moment of embracing and full connection and intimacy and closeness and everything was wonderful? Well, absolutely not. Most people would look at that and say, that text was pretty mean. Why would she say that to him? Or what is she trying to do with that? But we chose to see it as an attempt for her to seek him out as a source of comfort. So we know that this is so traumatizing for partners because they can't see their partner anymore when he reveals that she doesn't know who he is, doesn't know if he'll be there, right? We have to understand that she's not controlling. She's just trying to connect and feel safe. And these ineffective ways of doing it don't work very well, but they're at least understandable why she's doing it. And she's trying to find out, are you there for me? Do you care how I feel? For her to heal, she has to activate that power of co-regulation in her life, like we talked about. She has to connect with God, absolutely. She has to connect with other women, seek out support from loved ones, and then also, of course, figure out what to do with this attachment relationship that she's already living in. What do you do with it? Do you ignore it? Do you understand a little better? I believe that men have a tremendous opportunity here to really heal the damage caused by trauma and betrayal if they really understand the power of this attachment. And again, men need to know that they can do something. A lot of men are oftentimes told, you can't do anything for her. You've just got to do your thing, she'll do her thing, and don't act like... Now, that usually comes from this place of you can't change her, or she can't change him. And that's true, that she can't decide for him whether he'll do his recovery work, and he can't decide for her whether she'll do hers. But do they affect each other just by being together? Absolutely. And so let's harness that. Let's do something with that. Let's take advantage of it, even if it's just a little bit. So one guy said to me, there's nothing I can do. She wants nothing to do with me. And I said to him, well, let's figure out what you're doing that makes things worse. So he started to tell me all the things he does that makes things worse in the relationship. Like not returning her phone calls, coming home late, not helping out with the kids and housework, not doing his recovery work. He recognized that all those things, when he doesn't do them, it makes things worse. And so I said, so you do have an impact on her. What you do does make a difference for her. What if you did all those things? Would that make things better? And of course it does. And so he started to see that perhaps he can influence the healing process for her. Perhaps he can be a source of comfort and leverage that dual nature of this attachment relationship. He's the source of comfort and he's the source of pain. If he only believes and only plays to the part that I'm the painful bad guy, he's missing out on an opportunity to harness this part of him that can offer comfort in a way that would heal the relationship. I work with guys that start doing a little bit more housework. Guys that will say, hey, can we just take a walk together? We don't even have to hold hands. Let's just take a walk. And that presence, that proximity is healing, it's soothing to the system. Initiating family time, putting the kids to bed, when he's accountable for his time and for his whereabouts. Maybe he'll initiate reading a book together with her. And maybe they sit across the room and that's all they can do. But something about that interaction has an effect on the healing and the relationship. Now, for a guy to be able to do this, he has to be reaching out to anchor himself as well. He's not going to come up with the inner strength just to do this by himself. So he's got to reach out to God. He's got to reach out to groups, counseling, education, clergy. He has got to anchor himself in that so that he can be there for her as a source of comfort. If he's not doing that work and expecting her just to make him feel better, he's not going to protect her and he's not going to be useful. He'll only be a source of pain at that point. If he wants to be a source of comfort, he can do so much